Say you're at a little get-together or something, and somebody comes up and they get to talking to you and they say, what do you do for a living? And it's, when you look at them, you say, well, I make moonshine. And they look at you like, yeah, right.
Since 2005, Piedmont Distillers has been making moonshine, blending old-time recipes with modern machinery. The Madison-based company is one of 4 legal distilleries operating in North Carolina. Making moonshine was never illegal, but selling the untaxed and unregulated spirit was. In the mid-20th century, Western North Carolina was considered the moonshine capital of the world. Family recipes were as well guarded as the location of the stills. Today, there is plenty of home brew available on the black market, but there is also a legal, and some say purer, option.
There's a whole lot of cornmeal's in the bottom, but when you first make it and you put your sucrose in, it tastes like grits Mama fixed at the house.
Joe remembers the first time he tasted moonshine in the mid-90s.
And I was a little hesitant at first, but I took a sip of it and I was basically blown away at how the quality of the spirits and the flavor was so incredible.
A casual fan at first, Joe quickly became a student of the spirit, consuming all the moonshine folklore, recipes, and books he could find.
This is where we do the final distillation.
Sensing a market opportunity, he decided to open his own legal distillery.
I had found the only licensed and permitted distillery in North Carolina right here in Madison, and it was sitting here completely dormant, and it was literally 30 miles from my home.
Piedmont Distillers launched in 2005, offering its first product, Cat Daddy Carolina Moonshine.
As the saying goes, only the best moonshine deserved to be called the Cat Daddy.
This whole deal on the left here is kind of the way Junior's daddy and my dad and Grandpa used to make it.
Junior Johnson roars down the pit road at 90 miles an hour, his crew frantically slowing him down.
Yes, that Junior, who also had a reputation as one of the best bootleggers in the state.
When I started the distillery, I had reached out through my contacts and said, Junior, would you like to get involved with Piedmont? And he's like, I don't know about all that. Let's get him.
A year or so later, Joe received word that Junior wanted to check out the operation.
I got a phone call one evening that said, Junior wants to bring one of his boys from Wilkesboro up to the distillery. They want to see what it's like, how much is involved to go legit. So I said, sure.
Do that right there. You get the taste of it.
Impressed with what he saw, Junior jotted down his secret family recipe.
He says, here, have at it. He goes, and let's see what you can do. So I made up multiple batches of the product. I went up to his garage, his shop, and all of him and his boys were up there having breakfast. They took those jars of original spirit and passed it around, and I think what sealed the deal that day was one of his friends said, Junior, we've been trying to make this liquor for 50 years.
In 2007, Junior partnered with Piedmont Distillers, and the company launched Junior Johnson's Midnight Moon.
When Junior gets involved in a project, quality is number one. And although we have equipment that makes the product a little bit purer and higher proof than they were able to make it down by the creek, the process is very similar.
Being in that environment and work with the people that did the moonshine like it's supposed to be, you're very proud of it. You don't have one batch good and one batch bad or something of that nature. They duplicate it exactly like it's supposed to be every time.
With his family name on the label, Junior wanted to make sure the moonshine was made in a way that would make his daddy proud.
Joe got with Junior, then they brought me on to bring in some of the old-timey ways they used to make liquor.
Brian's family has been making moonshine for 7 generations. Some of the machines they use today are decidedly high-tech, but the process itself has not varied much over the years. And it all starts with the mash.
The cornmeal, yeast, water, and special ingredients will ferment in these white oak barrels for the next 3 or 4 days. After that, it's time for the still.
That's where the column still comes in. It brings it up to 190, smooths it out, and makes a real clean product.
Midnight Moon is the basis for all of Piedmont's spirits. The Cat Daddy also contains a few ingredients that this reporter was unable to identify.
What are the secret ingredients in the Cat Daddy?
I don't know.
You can make it.
I can't tell you. That's a good question. It's 2 flavors to make one. That's all I can say.
Piedmont Distillers recently introduced 3 fruit-infused spirits: strawberry, cherry, and apple pie. Each mason jar is hand-packed with fresh fruit.
The fruit naturally infuses the spirits with flavor and color, and some of the impurities and stuff naturally find their way into the fruits themselves, so it acts as a flavoring and a purifying kind of process. Fruit is absolutely fine to eat because alcohol, there is no better preservative than spirits, but I would tell you respect the fruits because it does absorb some alcohol.
Moonshine has always been a family-driven craft business, handed down from generation to generation. And that's exactly the way Joe and Junior want to keep it.
And Junior likes to come in here and check the mash every once in a while, make sure we're keeping it in the road up here in Madison, you know.
I might say a dream come true that this still was in North Carolina and the people have had the ability to obtain it and go forward with what we're doing now. I would have kindly been reluctant to do it if it hadn't been in North Carolina.